A couple, Grace and Jackson, moved from New York to Montana, into a house he inherited from his uncle. The couple had long dreamed of living in the countryside, far from the bustle of the city. Jackson, who is passionate about music, plans to write an album, while Grace wants to publish her own novel. It is an ideal place for a new stage of life. All that remains is to put the house in order and do some renovations. When asked how his uncle died, Jackson replies that he does not even know. In any case, it is not that important. That same evening the couple throws a party for two, dancing to wild rock music. The following months fly by unnoticed. Grace, by the way, is pregnant, and her due date is already close. It seems that everything is going well. But everything changes with the birth of their son. Grace would like more attention from her boyfriend, however the passion in their relationship has noticeably faded, which cannot help but upset the woman. Jackson mentions that it would be good to visit his mother. After the death of his father, she still cannot recover. She even continues to cook dinner for two. Grace listens to her boyfriend with indifference. At night when the son starts crying, she wakes up to feed him. Motherhood does not bring Grace the happiness she had expected. Jackson likes to admire the stars through a telescope. One night, Grace joins him and suddenly notices a motorcyclist on the forest road. When Jackson offers his girlfriend to look at the stars, she refuses, saying that next to them she feels like nothing. The man, on the contrary, likes feeling like part of something greater. He believes that there are countless parallel universes. Grace wants to believe that if so, then in all of those universes they are together as well. She once again tries to get tenderness from her boyfriend, but it seems that the stars interest him far more. That same night, the woman notices a horse outside, in the clearing. Could this be nothing more than a game of her imagination? Grace recalls how some time ago, the whole family gathered in the house to celebrate the upcoming birth of the child. At that time Jackson's father, Harry, was still alive. While Pam, Jackson's mother, as well as other female relatives, chatted at the table and sipped wine, Grace helped her father-in-law, who suffered from dementia, lace up his boots. Suddenly the man, once again lost in his memories, asks the others what they are all doing here, since this is Frank's house. Harry does not even remember his brother's death. That same night, their relatives stayed over. Pregnant Grace, who could not fall asleep, saw Harry go outside. Worried, she followed the man. At times Harry returned to reality and was aware of himself. He told Grace never to leave her child crying. Suddenly they began to dance right there in the forest. Soon after that, Harry passed away. Grace helped her grief-stricken lover get through the loss. She herself was very upset. Harry had been a good man. In the present, Grace feels completely alone. While walking with the stroller, she goes into a gas station store to buy something. The cashier, a young woman, starts cooing over the baby and asking stupid questions, like whether he has a name. Grace, who looks exhausted, asks the cashier to shut up. She is irritated when strangers meddle with her or her child. At home, turning on the music and sipping beer, Grace notices the motorcyclist again, but does not attach any importance to it. At times the woman wants to feel like a wild animal, free from conventions. She often crawls around the house on all fours. Out of boredom, the woman often talks to herself, licks the window glass, or spits beer straight onto the floor. Jackson works a lot and often stays out late. When he brought home a dog without even consulting his girlfriend, Grace was not happy at all. She wanted a cat to get rid of the mice in the house. Jackson seemed not to notice her displeasure, playing with the dog. Running into the house, the animal began barking loudly and demanding attention. While putting food into the pet's bowl, Jackson leaves a mess in the kitchen. Morning comes. The animal continues to bark loudly and run around the house, which irritates Grace. Moreover, because of this, the child keeps crying. The woman tries to walk with the baby more, just to avoid being at home. Entering the garage, she again sees the motorcyclist and wonders what it means. Later, Grace calls her boyfriend and asks him to tell her in detail how his day is going, just to distract herself with something. Jackson changes the subject, asking whether she has started writing her novel. Alas, no, since after the birth of the child she has completely lost her inspiration. The man hastens to end the conversation, mentioning that he will be staying late again, and hangs up. Grace's sense of loneliness grows worse. She decides to visit her mother-in-law, Pam, who has recently become a widow. Grace flinches when Pam points a shotgun at her, thinking that intruders have broken into the house. Grace came in too quietly. The elderly woman is deeply grieving her husband and still irons his clothes as if he were still alive. Pam has stopped brushing her hair and has almost stopped sleeping. Since he passed away, everything seems unreal. The house is swarming with flies because of piles of dirty dishes in the sink. Pam offers Grace cold tea and mentions that Frank, her husband's brother, did not simply die, but passed away voluntarily, right there in his own home, where Grace and Jackson now live with their child. Seeing the state her daughter-in-law is in, the elderly woman tries to encourage her, saying that during the first year after a child is born, Everyone loses their mind a little, and that it is absolutely normal. Grace does not want to talk about it and hurries to leave. At night, Jackson sleeps soundly while Grace wanders through the house, feeling boredom and loneliness. Often she hears a motorcycle passing outside. Her paranoia only grows worse. Meanwhile, Pam's behavior becomes more and more frightening and dangerous. She takes her husband's shotgun, and in a bout of sleepwalking goes out onto the country road in the middle of the night, laughing loudly. Grace does not know whether the motorcyclist is real or not. But one way or another, she sees him. All day long, the dog barks almost without stopping and turns things upside down in the house. Jackson gets angry that his girlfriend refuses to clean up the mess. Grace states that she is not obliged to do so, because bringing an animal into a house with a small child was not her idea. This leads to a conflict between them. They shout at each other, releasing all the negativity that has been building up inside them all this time. Grace accuses her boyfriend of having someone else, since he has completely stopped perceiving her as a woman. Jackson in turn accuses his girlfriend of having only one thing on her mind, while he has to work in order to provide for the family. Neither of them can endure all of this any longer. In the end, Jackson forces Grace to get into the car so they can go for a drive and talk calmly while their son sleeps. The dog in the back seat keeps barking nonstop and gnawing on the child's seat. Having calmed down a little, the man tells his girlfriend that he truly appreciates everything she does, but if Grace feels unwell and needs help, he is ready to do everything possible. Perhaps they should establish a clear daily routine, and then the chaos in their lives will fall into order. But the woman is not impressed by his words at all. She starts doing all sorts of crazy things, forcing Jackson to get distracted from driving. As a result, they get into an accident, nearly hitting a horse running across the road. Jackson cannot take it anymore. When they return home, Grace immediately runs to her son's room, worried about how he'd been on his own. Fortunately, everything is fine. Looking out the window, the woman tells her boyfriend that their son is not breathing. Jackson, who is washing the car outside, responds indifferently that this is ridiculous. Because of the dog's endless whining, Grace has completely lost her sleep. In the middle of the night, she goes to Pam's house and finds the elderly woman asleep on the living room couch, clutching the gun. Grace carefully takes the gun and leaves. At home, she wakes Jackson and demands that he shoot the animal right now. Grace says that after the accident the dog is injured, and out of mercy Jackson should put an end to his pet's suffering. The man flatly says that he will not do it, planning to take the dog to the veterinarian tomorrow. Therefore, Grace decides to take matters into her own hands and, bringing the animal to the clearing near the house, shoots without hesitation. At last she can enjoy the silence. As Grace lies on the grass, the motorcyclist leans over her, whether he is real or not. In the morning, Jackson buries the dog in the yard, looking at Grace with condemnation. She believes there was no other choice. At some point in despair, she throws herself through the glass door, shattering it. Jackson takes her to the hospital. Grace apologizes to him, not knowing what came over her. Pam visits them, advising Grace to take up yoga and relax. Pam is ready to help with anything, with the baby or around the house, just to somehow ease her daughter-in-law's condition. But she knows that all of this is not what she needs at all. Motherhood has turned her life upside down, and Grace turned out to be completely unprepared for it. She wanders through the forest with the child in her arms, ignoring Jackson and Pam calling out to her. Grace returns only late in the evening, driving her boyfriend to the point of a nervous breakdown. She overhears Pam telling her son that his girlfriend is mentally unstable and dangerous for the child. Jackson defends Grace, saying that she simply needs time to get used to the changes. The next day, while waiting for her husband in the car in the store parking lot, Grace notices a married couple with their daughter in a wheelchair. In the man, she recognizes the motorcyclist. Grace approaches them, and under the pretense that she has a flat tire, asks the man to go with her. His wife says, displeased, that this is really not the right time. So maybe the motorcyclist was real after all? Every time Grace reproaches Jackson for no longer perceiving her as a woman. He asks her to be more patient. After all, their relationship is going through a difficult period, especially against the background of her postpartum psychosis. This drives Grace out of her mind. In a rage, she overturns everything in the bathroom and locks herself inside. Jackson is on the edge, not understanding what he is supposed to do. The man tries to joke to defuse the situation, and surprisingly it works, though only for a short while. Soon the couple sets off with their child to a party at Jackson's friend's place. Grace is irritated when someone asks her when they are planning to have a second child. The other side of motherhood is not something people are used to discussing in society. Grace once again begins to display inappropriate behavior, without being embarrassed in the slightest. This drives Jackson into a panic attack. On the way back, he says that this cannot go on any longer. They must take care of each other, or nothing will work out. Unexpectedly, Grace opens the car door while it is moving and nearly falls out, if not for Jackson grabbing her. He has no idea how to fight her psychosis. At home, Grace reads her son a bedtime story, after which she goes for a bike ride and makes her way to the motorcyclist's house. By then it has already grown dark. They give in to passion right there in the summer cabin, while Jackson waits for Grace, unaware of her strange, silent affair on the side. In the morning he finds her crawling on all fours in a clearing not far from the house and begins to crawl toward her. He even finds it amusing. At that moment Jackson proposes to her. She says yes. The wedding day arrives. Everything seems to be going wonderfully, until during the dancing Jackson refuses to kiss Grace repeatedly in front of everyone. Upset, she begins to dance more and more provocatively, and then goes alone to the luxury honeymoon suite. Grace calls the front desk and asks the administrator to bring ice for champagne. The young man on the other end of the line replies calmly that he cannot help. There are ice machines on every floor. The woman does not give up and begins flirting with the administrator, saying how lonely the bride is in the room while her groom is having fun with the guests. In the end the administrator comes, and at Grace's request plays the guitar for her, while she dances. Suddenly the woman deliberately slams her head into the mirror, injuring herself. After that, Grace heads home on foot with the child in a stroller. Jackson catches up with his wife by car, and completely exhausted by her madness, simply takes the stroller and puts it into the car in silence. Grace gets in as well. The drive passes in silence. Jackson decides that the only solution is to place his wife in a psychiatric clinic. It will be better for everyone. Grace tells her psychotherapist about the death of her parents. They died in a plane crash when she was 10. The doctor suggests that Grace has issues related to a fear of abandonment. Perhaps that is why she is afraid to become attached to her husband or to her son. The woman sharply objects, saying that she has no problems at all with her son. He is perfect, it is the world around her that is pathetic. The days in the psychiatric facility drag on painfully slowly for Grace. To pass the time, she keeps a journal. One day Grace is allowed to leave the clinic for a short while, until evening. Jackson comes to pick her up with their son so they can spend time together as a family. She already looks completely stable. During this time, Jackson has bought a new car. It seems that the worst is behind them, and their life is gradually getting back on track. The couple arranges a small picnic on the beach. Two pretty girls approach them and begin admiring the baby, offering to play with him. Jackson hands the child over without any concern, while Grace remains silent. Her anxiety returns once again. The remission was short-lived. At times she talks to Harry, who is of course a figment of her imagination, like so much else. Despite this, she is soon discharged. During her absence, among other things, Jackson has painted the house and done renovations. It is the perfect chance to leave the past behind and start a new life. At first everything really does go well. The former romance returns to the couple's relationship. Soon they throw a party to celebrate Grace's recovery. Everyone sincerely congratulates her, saying how wonderful it is that they have each other. However, the idyll collapses when Grace out of nowhere causes another scene, behaving inappropriately. She runs away from the party. Jackson follows his wife and quickly finds her. They drive aimlessly. Grace says that she cannot go back and that he does not see her. Jackson in turn says that he truly is trying and that he loves her. The woman says the same in return. They hold hands. Later, when the couple stops in a random place, Grace tells Jackson enough and walks into the forest while he stands there, smoking pensively. She sets her journal on fire. Sensing that something is wrong, Jackson rushes into the forest, only to witness the flames engulfing Grace. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.